Arm yourselves, America. This is Defenders Live with Steven Airey here on Mojo 50. You can find us pretty much anywhere that you can find podcasts that you want to listen to everywhere except Apple Podcasts for some reason. I don't know why that is, but they just will not accept what we have going on. It has to be something about me. It has to be me. That's what it is. But you can find us pretty much anywhere else. But if you'd like to listen to us live, you can find us right here on Mojo 50. You can either go to the iHeartRadio app, download that, set up the Mojo 50 radio section, or you can go to facebook.com/Mojo 50 radio. That's facebook.com/Mojo 50 radio. You can find the live feed there. You can communicate with us over the Facebook feeds. You can also do the MeWe's or the Twitterverse. Any way that you do it, if you go to Twitter, it's at Steven Airey or at DOAE Show. So it's at Steven Airey or at DOAE Show. Either way you want to do it. If you use the hashtag I see what you did there, that would be well appreciated because I do see what you did there. First and foremost, I need to talk to you guys about financial planning and management. You see, today's show is brought to you in part by Airey Capital Management. Retirement planning is not something you need to overlook. You need to act as soon as you possibly can. Contact Airey Capital Management today. They can help you put your investment plan into place using their in-house portfolio management process. Your life, your era. Invest in it. Airey Capital Management LLC is a registered investment advisory. Investing in securities involves some risk of loss. Visit aireycapitalmanagement.com or call 509-559-6229. That's aireycapitalmanagement.com or call them at 509-559-6229. Definitely going to look into that. Got to look into that soon. Don't be like me. Get it done now. Oh, gosh. So we had, what was it yesterday? What was it? Oh, that's right. State of the Union happened yesterday. Woo-wee. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doodles. Oh, so we talked about that. We played it here on the show. You guys have heard a ton about it today, and everything else is going on. So I'm not going to talk about it because I don't really want to talk about it. It's not really my thing. State of the Union, yay, that's great, and I played it, and But so, let's have some wall talk. Yeah. Love that coffee. Okay, wall talk. Here we go. And I don't mean the wall on the south of the border. Here's what I'm talking about when I say wall talk. Let's talk Israel. That's right, folks. Let's talk Israel. See, the Prime Minister Netanyahu remarks on the start of the new weekly cabinet meeting. The Prime Minister, what is it? This was on Sunday. This was on Sunday. It says, the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, this morning at the start of the weekly cabinet meeting made the following remarks on Gaza. Quote, over the weekend, we've began to build an above-ground barrier along the Gaza border. The barrier will prevent terrorists from Gaza from penetrating into our territory in their grounds. I would also like to make it clear, if the quiet is not maintained in Gaza, we will make the decision even in the elections period, and will not hesitate to act. So it sounds like the Prime Minister over at Netanyahu on the Gaza side is building a wall, a barrier, because they found out a long time ago that building a wall and a barrier, it works. It works. It works for them. That's the only way that they can keep the bad guys out and keep everybody inside of the walls safe. It's funny how it works. People trying to kill them, people trying to come across the border, kill them, destroy their stuff, burn their land, make sure that everybody inside of the city dies. And what do? They build some walls. And also some, defense. Because missile defense, like they have, is well beyond anything that anybody else has and their capabilities. That is an amazing setup that they have. But they have a wall. Oh my goodness, it is crazy. Plus, they have a guy that's going to sit there in his office, and when he makes a threat or a promise as this, let me make it clear: if it does not become quiet over in Gaza, we will act. We will not hesitate to act. I tell you, That's a pretty scary thought process when you think about what's happening in the Middle East. Going on, he says things about Iran. Quote, in Iran today, they are marking 40 years since the Islamic Revolution and trying to boast about the new missiles. Iran openly declares its intentions to destroy the state of Israel. I have a clear message for the tyrants of Tehran. We know what you're doing, and we know you are doing it. We will continue to take action against Iran and all the tools at our disposal in order to ensure and take action against Iran with all the tools at our disposal in order to ensure the security and future of Israel. That's pretty bold statement. That's some balls. That's some chutzpah. That guy has some spirit. And to sit here and go through this process like that, with this and just going step by step, he literally breaks down a whole bunch of different situations. And it seems like he has very short, very concise answers when it comes to this mess. And just to think, this man they were going to kick out. So let's see. Okay. On the confirmation of Israel's credit rating, he says, quote, you've certainly noticed another achievement for the Israeli economy. Standard & Poor's confirmed Israel's high credit rating. The previous rating was provisional, and the company has now made it permanent. This is a very strong expression of confidence in the economic policies that we have led in recent years, which has led Israel's economy to unprecedented growth. Yeah, it could also be the fact that you are protecting the people inside of your borders to the nth degree. You have people that even though there's things happening around you, even though they're shooting volleys of rockets and missiles into your town, and sometimes you can't defend against them, which sucks, but most of the time you're able to defend against them, and most of the time you're able to keep those bad guys out of your place, out of your cities. It seems that when you're able to do that, and then you allow a market economy to take over inside of your cities, that you have unprecedented economic growth happen. I mean, that's the reasons why America grew as fast as they did, when they did, how they did. I mean, I don't know about you, but just to think about what was protecting us. Well, 90% of the time, the giant oceans were protecting us. We were bordered on the east and the west coast with water. And then, there wasn't a lot of attacks going on from the south or the north or anything like that. So we had a very long-standing system of protection and borders around us. And then you added in the free trade and free market that we established and set up in North America. It became a very prosperous proposition for us. Very prosperous overall indeed. After we won our freedoms, after we became our own country, it made for the fastest growing economy that the world had seen in the modern era. And so I can't say beyond anything else other than the fact of, we know how you feel, Israel. I'm glad you're coming up. Glad you're hitting it. It just makes perfect sense that Israel would be there, especially with everybody who attacks them. You see, when you are attacked on all sides, like you are with Israel, if you have everything attacking you, and all you're doing is fighting a defensive war, and you're still growing, and you're still able to create a flourishing economy where people feel safe, where people in your towns understand that what they're doing is free. It's free for them to act. It's free for them to do. It's free for them to express. When they're able to do these things and work the systems that they should be working to make sure that their lives change for the better. When you're able to protect your citizens in that way, in such a violent area, it just goes to show that, sometimes the government is necessary for certain things, for protection in particular. And beyond that, after you have the government protecting the citizenry, making sure that the people are safe, all you have to do is get out of the way and allow those people to do what people do. Free people search for their self. They succeed for themselves and their families well-beings, and sometimes they succeed for the well-beings of their country and their countrymen. It's not selfishness that leads to a market economy. It's the understanding that the best you give is worth the best somebody else can pay. If somebody's willing to pay for a service, you should be willing to give your best, give your all, give some sort of, it's a moral understanding that you overall, you as a society, we as a society should be able to sit here, and as long as we are safe from external threats and safe from the government trying to overtake us and safe from people trying to destroy us, destroy our way of life, and kill us, we would go about in a free market system naturally. And as long as we have the ideas of a moral guidance and a moral acceptance and a moral code that we would go through life in that idea, in the capitalist idea and the systems that we put into place already, allowing ourselves to be our best selves, putting our best foot forward toward everybody else to make sure that we can not only provide a service or a good that somebody would want, but provide a good and a service that's needed, and overall just a great flourishing environment. Apparently, Israel is also doing things like they're launching satellites to the moon, which is kind of cool. So we'll see what happens there. Apparently, they're trying to get into the space race. That would be pretty cool, but I mean, sometimes it's kind of a waste of money. I mean, don't they just use? They can use American satellites for what they need, and pretty much America floods the atmosphere with all of these satellites. So, popping more up into the sky, I don't know if that's going to be the best thing or not. But hey, you know what? You want to do it just to make sure that you can prove that you can do it. I can't blame you. I can't blame you at all. One of the good things that you could do, though, if you are an American and you're looking for a moral company to do business with, one of the best companies you can do business with is Patriot Mobile. You can go to patriotmobile.com or call them at 1-800-A-PATRIOT. 1-800-A-PATRIOT or patriotmobile.com. See, Patriot Mobile, enough is enough. Join the fight. Make sure that you are joining the fight, getting reliable phone coverage, and fighting against the horrors that are things like Planned Parenthood, abortion rights, and all those other organizations that are funded by all the big mobile companies out there. You see, if you join Patriot Mobile, you can join thousands of Americans using Patriot Mobile and get reliable nationwide coverage. Watch your hard-earned money and dollars fight for the First and Second Amendment rights, border security, and sanctity of life. Veteran-led Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every bill to conservative causes like the Heritage Foundation, the NRA, the Susan B. Anthony List, and so much more. You can switch to Patriot Mobile. It's easy. It's simple. You can get unlimited talk and text plans for as low as $20 a month. Sometimes they even buy out your plans and your phones and everything like that. You can keep your phone. You can keep your numbers and everything else. Go to patriotmobile.com. Patriotmobile.com. Use a promo code Mojo or 1-800-A-PATRIOT. 1-800-A-PATRIOT. Call them today and set it up. Now, did you guys know that, southern border troops, all that stuff? Yeah, I'm sure you did. Because that's happening. That's something is definitely happening. It was announced on Sunday, obviously. It was going through the entire thing that we all talked about. But how am I going to put this? It just makes sense. See, I was going to get to this story yesterday, but the whole idea of, the State of the Union and the Mystery Science Theater, political science theater sort of setup kind of caught me off guard. So I kind of wanted to do that and set it up, and I wanted to be able to play that for you guys. But I wanted to talk about this just a little bit. So this came out in the Associated Press. Apparently, the troops will be deployed for 90 days. They will assist with the mobile surveillance operations in addition to aiding the Border Patrol in placing razor wire over 150 miles of the border. Active duty troops do not physically enforce the law at the border, which is the Border Patrol's job. Instead, they assist in capabilities such as, building stuff, manning mobile observation posts. The troops monitor illegal activities on the border using the radios, radioing CBP agents, and all of that jazz. The Pentagon's decision to reveal the size of the increase during the hearing before the House Armed Service Committee on Tuesday, which is why I wanted to talk to this about, was slammed by the committee chairman and Democratic Representative Adam Smith of Washington. Quote, the members of the committee would have been extremely interested in discussing what the 3,500 troops going to the border in response to the DHS's latest request will be doing there, Smith wrote in a letter to Acting Secretary of Defense Pat Shanahan. Quote, this is a violation of the executive branch's obligation to be transparent with Congress, which oversees, authorizes, and funds its operations, Smith added. The deployment will bring the total number of active duty troops on the border to 4,350. That means we already have active duty troops on the border. This would basically be quadrupling it almost. Mainly tripling it. Mainly tripling the active duty troops. The deployment comes as Trump obviously is going to continue to fight for the border and everything else that's going on there. You guys heard it. You guys know what's going on. But here's the deal. So we currently have about 1,000 troops on the border. They've released a deal that they're going to push down another 3,700 troops, 3,500 troops to the border, and it's set up in a way. It's made in a way to where the troops can't actually be policemen. Obviously, that's where Border Patrol set up, and that's what they're supposed to do. But they can do things like surveillance. They can help build things. You have an Army Corps of Engineers to set up. The funds are technically available if we're talking about defense. A quote state of emergency and everything else included into that. So you have the money, technically, because if you have the troops and you already have the funds in the military and all you want to do is redirect the military, you technically have that ability as president to do so, because the border is technically a place where you are defending Americans against a foreign enemy. Technically, you can say that. So you have the funds, you have the ability to defend against a foreign enemy, you have a full setup and an integration there for that sort of thing. So Congress and their oversight committees and everything else is saying that, well, we could just stop funding for that. No, you can't. You can't, because you do omnibus bills. You can't just stop funding for it, because if you stopped funding for it, then you'd stop funding for the entire military. And why would you stop funding for the entire military? Because it's also tied in with 35 other things that you want to have funding for. So to say, if we're the ones that can stop this because we can pull the purse strings, no, you can't, because you haven't done a freaking budget. You haven't set apart a budget separated in the 14 different sections and everything else that you're supposed to do to pay for the defense and to pay for this and to pay for, all of your domestic crap and to pay for your Medicare and everything else, because you want to hide all the money that you're spending on stupid crap that is unnecessary, completely and utterly unnecessary. You don't want people to find out about it. So to threaten to pull the purse strings from the president, who has all authority over the military as long as they have funding for such things, and as long as he's doing it not to police internally, but to help do things like build, construct, and defend against a, quote, foreign enemy. with the military. He's not policing the state. He's not policing the country. He's actually not even using them to police. He's using them for surveillance purposes so that CBP agents can actually go out there and do their job more effectively. He's using them to man drones. He's using them to build, like they said, to stretch out barbed wire across 150 separate miles of borderland and everything else. He's using them in the best way that he can to do a sort of stopgap, a temporary hold, a way to place some sort of protection on our southern border. I get it. You know, there's a lot of us out there, there's a lot of people out there that say there's no reason for this. There's no reason for us to be on the southern border. There's no reason for us to do all this mess and drive through all of this other crap, yada, 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 because, you know, it's really not that bad. It's really not that porous. I mean, look, most of the people who are illegal are overstayed visas anyway. Those are the ones that you can count. You can't count the ones that flood into America from our southern border when you can't even when they're not caught. All we can count is the ones that are caught. How do you count the slave trade that passes through our southern border? How do you count those numbers? There's no way to do it. There's no way to accurately gauge. I mean, unless they have some sort of monitoring where they're actually seeing every single person come through the border every single time and they just can't catch them fast enough. We have gaps in our security. We have gaps in our systems. We have gaps overall. It makes it hard for us to do, for our country to do its job in protecting the citizenry. It makes it difficult for these things to happen. So why can we not be like Israel and just say, screw it? You guys are coming across this. Every other country that does borders on any sort of land, those countries do just fine. They actually are more secure. A wall around a city or a town or a country is proven effective. A solid foundation, something that actually blocks people from doing what they want to do. A physical barrier has to be in place to stop it. We can't just have, oh, well, this is the imaginary line where, you know, you're crossing into America now. Woo, whoopee, you're crossing into America. Yay, that's great. Oh, except for the fact that you get caught half the time. But no, not really, because that's what they do. If you remember Monday, I mean, we were talking with Richard Manning, and he was going over the ideas of what was going on there, how that was affecting the people that live south of the border. You know, if you have somebody that goes and grabs these kids just out of the hands of the mothers because they cannot fight off these men. These families can't fight off the cartels. They can't fight off the coyotes and things like that. They can't. They have no means. The police are corrupt down there. Everybody's paid off by the cartels down there. So what are you going to do? A cartel member comes, grabs your kid, and says, I'm going to take him to America so I can use him. Have a good day. You can't do anything about it. You wouldn't be able to do anything about it. You don't have a gun to do anything. There's nothing there. So it sucks. It's terrible. It's something that you can't utilize. It's a freedom that you should have to protect yourself and your family that they do not have. Because there's so many things down there that are corrupt and mismanaged and under the eye of horrible people. That sound right there means that it's time for a commercial break. We will be right back with Defenders Live. All right, I'm going to step away for a second while we do the commercial break here. I'll be right back. And we're back with Defenders Live on Mojo 50. Man, I'll tell you what, I've been digging through this stuff. So, obviously the administration suspended the nuclear treaty with Russia. That's probably not a good thing. But then again, the nuclear treaty was set into place so that we would both effectively destroy our nuclear missiles and things like that on a controlled basis between the both of us. And we all know that Putin isn't doing that. So, I mean, I see that as like, yeah, it shouldn't be there because, it's not really a thing. See, the Trump administration announced on Friday. I mean, this is an old story. Once again, I didn't get to it with everything going on. So, announced Friday that it would suspend its obligations under a decades-old Cold War arms contract or control pact with Russia on Saturday, citing Moscow's violations of the treaties themselves. So, Mike Pompeo came out and said things like, Russia has refused to take any steps to return to the real and verifiable compliance over these last 60 days. Quote, the United States will therefore suspend its obligations under the INF treaty effective February 2nd, and we will provide Russia and other treaty parties with formal notice that the United States will be withdrawing from the INF treaty effective in 6 months pursuant of the Article 15 of the treaty. So it's really just an announcement. It's an announcement saying, guys, guess what? Russia is lying. They're cheating this crap, and we're not going to have any of it. If they're going to lie and cheat their way out of things, just like China is to the green, the green movement, the Paris Accords and things like that, just like the Paris Accords, if you guys can't hold up your end of the bargain, why are we going to force ourselves to weaken our own strengths? So it makes perfect sense to me. It makes perfect sense that we're going to do it. Everybody's saying that, oh, this is going to like jeopardize U.S. national securities and things like that. No, what would jeopardize national security is if we continued to live by this means and to live by this setup, and then go through the entire process and understand that, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, I forgot. Apparently, I forgot. Russia hasn't been doing this for years. So why have we been doing it? I don't know. Why are we still doing it? I don't know. So if we kept doing this, eventually we would run out of, we would slowly bring our missile supply down to a point to where Russia would have not only more than us, but they would be able to fire it at us and we would have nothing to combat them. While the U.S. has been doing this for years and years and years. So while current and former officials broadly agree that Russia has violated the treaty for years, the U.S. move has nevertheless triggered concerns of the impact of the global strategic environment. Arms control advocates in particular are worried that withdrawing from the INF treaty could trigger a Cold War-style arms race, thereby upending stability in Europe and elsewhere. Quote, flipping over the negotiating table and storming out of the room may have worked in the real estate markets, but when you're dealing with nuclear treaties, the risk of misplaying your hand isn't a failed business venture, it's an arms race and a possible nuclear war, said Derek Johnson, executive director of the Global Zero, when he also said in a statement, the administration's decision does nothing to make America safer and does not bode well to the future of the nuclear arms race. You see, he's part of Global Zero. Global Zero. I wonder what that means. I wonder what that stands for. Global Zero. Global Zero. Maybe globally zero nuclear arms? Maybe so. Zero nuclear weapons globally? I think I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that assumption there. Global Zero, global nuclear arms to zero, sounds about right. And you know what? For a guy to go through the whole idea and say that he doesn't know what the policies are. He doesn't know how it's actually going to affect everything that's going on. We were the safest when we had the most. when it was very simple and easy to understand that if you even tried to screw with the United States, you would not be there anymore. It's just walk softly, carry a big stick. I understand that Trump doesn't walk softly, and we don't know what his stick looks like. But at the same point in time, he's got a button, and it's bigger and more powerful than that of Kim Jong-un. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what this man is trying to do, but what I do know is that Russia hasn't been living up to their side of the deal. Who thought Russia was actually going to live up to their side of the deal? Oh, wait. Bueller? Nobody. That's what I thought. Russia was never going to live up to the INF deal. The only way that you can stop Russia from doing stupid crap like this is to stop them. To physically go in there and stop them from doing it. They are an autonomous nation. They are basically a dictatorship at this point in time. I understand that he was voted in, but I also understand that most of his most of the people that go up against him die. So, when you have a government that you're supposedly working a treaty with, and that government is so corrupt that most of the politicians, if they go against the leaders, die. Or where they go and they send people over to the UK and kill them with poison, in which case more people get killed with the poison because it's set by physical touch, and supposedly that same poison got onto other areas in that house. When Russia unabashedly sends people to kill somebody else, and then accidentally kill a whole bunch of other people with the same sort of poison that's only traceable to Russia, and then they have video footage of these guys getting off the planes from Russia on a Russian plane, and then getting back on to go to Russia from a Russian plane. I mean, there's not much else to say, is there? There's just not much else to say. It's there. It's simple. It makes sense. But at the same point in time, you're looking at it like, okay, I got you now. All right. So why are we negotiating with them? Why have we been going through this intermediate range nuclear forces treaty? Which, by the way, that's not long range. It's intermediate range. It's basically almost short range missiles. It's like what? It's going from Russia to Alaska. It's so they can't fire to Alaska, but they could fire to North Carolina from Russia. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's not the Intercontinental Nuclear Forces Treaty. It's Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. So I don't get it. I don't want to. I'm not trying to rain on somebody's parade here, but apparently this guy from Global Zero, while I understand he knows what he's talking about, I believe his heart and his mind is in the wrong place when it comes to this sort of situation. You can't trust Russia to even have a legal election of their own. So how can you trust them to an agreement of not building nuclear arms? You can't. You can't sit there and say that they're going to agree to this and they're actually going to do this. It doesn't make sense. It's not. It's stupid to think that you can trust somebody from doing that. But you know what? There is a company you can trust. The company you can trust is Tar River Arms. You can go to traguns.com today. Tell them that Steven over at Mojo50 sent you. See, Tar River Arms is America's first virtual gun store. They're making it easier and more comfortable than ever to purchase firearms online. They modernize the online firearms sales to accommodate the online generation. They have weekly sales. They have great deals. Shipping and broker fees are eliminated on most orders. They have great guns, great prices at a great service. They're veteran-owned, veteran-operated. Try it out today. traguns.com. That's Tar River Arms, so traguns.com. Tell them that Steven over at Mojo50 sent you. Make sure you find the guns that Matlock really loves and buy those first. Because not only are they inexpensive, but then Matlock can't have them, and he doesn't need any more guns to begin with. Yes, that's us. I said it. Matlock doesn't need any more guns. Doesn't mean he doesn't want them. It just means that if you buy him first, his wife won't get upset with him for buying more guns. Go to. They also have layaway options and consignment options available today. Go to traguns.com. Tell them Steven over at Mojo sent you. Let it go. So the FBI, okay, so let me preface this. Remember when I told you about the DNA home kit 23andMe and how they sold all the information to a big pharmaceutical company for like millions and millions of dollars, or like $3 billion or something crazy like that? Yeah. So there's a new company out there called Family Tree DNA. Family Tree DNA has decided that they were going to give the FBI all access to all of their ancestry information. See, the home DNA testing kits are now affordable and commonplace, and offer to provide you with detailed information to your family ancestry and break down your genetics. It also means that there are a number of private companies who want to now hold large databases of genetic data. The FBI now has access to Family Tree DNA. I haven't heard of this company, but apparently they're very popular overall. Family Tree DNA has confirmed that it is working with the FBI and allowing the local law enforcement access to its genealogy databases. The number of DNA profiles stored in the databases is thought to total over a million people. 1 million people. See, there are a number of active cases that haven't been solved because there's DNA evidence, but no one can match it. So by opening up the genealogy database to the FBI, the Family Tree is potentially going to help solve a number of criminal cases in those particular and historical murder, rape cases. That's what they're going with, okay? See, that's a good way to spin it. I tell you what, that is a really good way to spin it. If I was one of these companies, that's exactly how I would spin this. I would take this out and say, look, we're helping the FBI and the local law enforcement with all of their old historical cases, all the cold cases that could be placed. We're just going to give them access to all of the data so they can peruse and pile through and flip all the information over left and right and figure out if any of their data for their DNA information matches any of the DNA going through this entire company, because none of it will match, right? Or we'll be able to help in some way. So the FBI is already using publicly available DNA databases, but this is the first time it has gained access to private database. It does, of course, raise some private concerns about and a few Family Tree DNA customers maybe contacted the company to ask what's going on and possibly how to go about removing their data from the database, which is impossible. You cannot. Okay, so just like the internet, once your information is out there, it's not coming back. I mean, it's coming back to you, obviously, but what I mean is it's not going to come back and be hidden again. It's no longer going to be a thing where it's secret anymore. You're not going to be able to hide it anymore. It doesn't matter because you've signed agreements. You've signed agreements that these companies can use that DNA information any way, shape, or form that they imagine that they can use it. So it sucks to be you, because that's the agreement that you fill out. That's how you get this stuff when you buy it. It's nobody ever reads the terms of service. But when you're giving your genetic DNA over to a company, you may want to read the terms and conditions. Because if you don't, it could be you next time being investigated by the FBI because you have X amount of chromosomes matching this one murder case from 30 years ago. See, the agreement between the FBI and the Family Tree DNA sees that the company works on a case-by-case basis, so it says. So far, fewer than 10 cases have required access to the database for users. Their kits available to purchase to find out paternal, family, and maternal ancestry, but it's also possible to upload existing data for free and gain access to autosomal matches and in the Family Finder Matrix Access. So they have an online database. And the moment that you upload your information to that online database, it's now no longer your data. It's not your information anymore. You give them access to your data, you no longer have access to stop them from using it. In its privacy statement, Family Tree DNA makes it clear that your personal information is never shared with third parties without additional consent. Your genetic information will never be shared with pharmaceutical or insurance companies, employers, or third-party marketers without your express consent. I don't believe you. The terms of service got updated in December, and they state that law enforcement can make use of the database to, quote, identify the perpetrator of violent crimes, sexual assault, rape, homicide, and remains of a deceased all fall under the same category. So what's that mean? Well, they may not sell your data. At least this company may not sell your data without expressly asking for you to sign off on it, but they will give the government access to your data if it comes to find out that it might be helpful to the federal government. So, what is it? Bennett Greenspan, president and founder of Family Tree DNA parents company Gene by Gene, released a statement explaining. He says, quote, "We've come to the conclusion that if a law enforcement created accounts with the same level of access to the database as a standard Family Tree DNA user, they would not be violating the user privacy and confidentiality." The company later further clarified by stating in, quote, "In order for the FBI to obtain additional information, they would have to provide a valid court order, such as a subpoena or a search warrant." So what they're saying is they've given the FBI access to the user database via a user login. And so they're able to match up DNA profiles back and forth and throughout, just like you would be able to do if you put your stuff in the matrix for the service. So they're allowing the FBI to do that for their crime statistics, but they're saying that no matter what, which I don't know if it's true or not, but they're saying that no matter what, they have to have a subpoena or a court order to actually pull your personal information off of there and find out who you are. Once again, I don't know if I trust that very much. It may be good. It may be safe. It may be kind of cool. Everybody wants to know where they're from. Everybody wants to know their origins, what they came from, who they came from, the families that they came from. People want to know that because people get a sense of well-being, of understanding from this. They take this idea of knowing who they are and whose they are and put that forward to knowing who they're going to be in the future. There's so many people out there that go searching for their origins and everything else and all this because they're lost about who they are personally. And so this is very appealing to many people. I almost did it myself, and then I realized all the stupidity that could happen with it eventually because you're giving your DNA over to a company. Bar none, it's not good for you. It's not going to be good for you. And I mean, it's kind of stomach churning for me. I mean, maybe I need to go get some Entron Teal. You see, I should go to lovemytummy.com/Mojo, use the promo code Mojo, get some Entron Teal. You get 3 boxes of 90 capsules. It's normally $39.95 a box. You can get it for $99 total. That's a 3-month supply for $99. It's $20 in savings on 3 boxes of Entron Teal. You see, it's the world's first ever over-the-counter proven solution for bloating and issues. It's also great for people that have certain gastrointestinal issues, like maybe you have a gluten intolerance or you have problems digesting foods overall. You see, you have more nerves that connect directly to your brain and directly to the chemicals inside of your body to make you feel, that give you a sense of well-being in your digestive tract than you do in your brain. So there's more nerve endings in your digestive tract than there are in your brain. And the best way for you to fix some of your own body health is to make sure that you have your digestive health in order. You go to Entrantil, that's lovemytummy.com/mojo. Use the promo code mojo. You get 3 boxes for $99. It's a 3-month supply for $99. It's $20 off the total price there if you bought them individually. Go try them out today. lovemytummy.com/mojo. Promo code mojo. Here's something to get your stomach churning. Quote, "There is going to be a war within the party. We're going to lean into it." This is from the Justice Democrats who helped out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez get elected. You wonder, who are they after next? Maybe you've heard the warning. The country is beset by a menace. A French conservative minority is holding Congress hostage, extracting radical policy concessions over the will of the majority, and it's leading the nation into fiscal, environmental, and moral ruin. Too much? Maybe too much. Whatever, it's not too much for me. I can handle it. So, maybe you haven't heard. Maybe you heard of things like that. Maybe you haven't heard that the dangerous conservatives are actually Democrats. That's right. Quote, "I'm talking about the radical conservatives in the Democrat Party," says Saikat Chakrabarti. Saikat Chakrabarti. Like a native. Quote, "That's who we need to counter. It's the same across the number of issues: pay-as-you-go, free college, Medicare for all. These are all enormously popular in our party, but they don't pass because of the radical conservatives that are holding the party hostage." They're talking about Democrats, by the way. Not long ago, this would have been an outlier position even among American liberals. Today, it's the organizing principle of the newly empowered segment of the Democrat Party, one with a foothold in the new Congress. Chakrabarti is the chief of staff to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The closest thing to a new celebrity Congress has had in years. A 29-year-old former activist and bartender who, on the most recent Martin Luther King Day, sat on the same New York stage as the rapper Common, Black Panther director Ryan Coogler, and MacArthur Genius Award winner Ta-Nehisi Coates. That's right, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Is it Ta-Nehisi or is it Ta-Nehisi? I don't know, Ta-Nehisi Coates. That's right. Although Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it's her who gets all the headlines, she arguably wouldn't be in Congress in the first place without the group Chakrabarti founded. See, the Justice Democrats, a new central player in the ongoing war for the soul of the Democrat Party. It was the Justice Democrats who recruited her in the campaign earlier, providing a neophyte candidate with enough infrastructure to take down a party leader. And it is the Justice Democrats who see Ocasio-Cortez as just the opening act in an astonishingly ambitious plan to do nothing less than reimagine liberal politics in America and do it by whatever means necessary. You see, it requires knocking out well-known elected officials and replacing them with more radical newcomers, so be it. If it ends up ripping apart the Democrat Party in the process, well, that might be the idea. Quote, "There's going to be a war within the party, and we are going to lean into it." That from Waleed Shahid. Waleed Shahid. You know, I got to stop here for a second. There's a common denominator between these names. Saikat Chakrabarti and Waleed Shahid. Chakrabarti. Shaheed. Walla Walla, Washington. It's like there's something there. I can't put my tongue on it. I can't really name it. To put your finger on it to get to, but don't know. It's there though. There's something there. I just can't. Oh, that's right. They're all Islamic. They're not just radical leftists. They're Islamic radical leftists. Isn't that crazy? She was supported by Islamic radical leftists. Huh. Not only supported, but brought into power by them. See, the top Democrats in Congress have their hands full already, trying to use their new control of the House of Representatives to fight President Donald Trump, expand their majority in 2020, and maybe even capture the Senate. But they also may find themselves with real anxieties about their left flank. The first time in memory. See, the Justice Democrats is one of a handful of groups that represent a new and resistive spirit in the party. The Tea Party-like populist coalition of voters awakened in the Vermont Senator's Bernie Sanders cannonball run of 2016 and united by the super progressive politics and the millennial disdain for the establishment. That's right. Not all their efforts have been successful. Off of the slate of 2018 candidates, Justice Department recruited only Ocasio-Cortez won. But they've been undeniably disruptive and unafraid to go after the people on their side of the aisle. Nervous members of the Democrat establishment and the leaders are watching and asking, could they hurt our party's chances and try to leverage its majority in the years to defeat Donald Trump? Or do they even care? Oh, this Politico article goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And what I'm talking about here, what I really wanted to go in, why I wanted to bring this up, was because to me, there's nothing better than the left eating itself, but you have to watch out. You have to be careful with everything going on, because if you aren't, these people will not only get power, but they will get power and they will burn the system down. That's right. The Burn You. A CD. Something new. Anyway, folks. You've been listening to Defenders Live. This is Mojo 50. We'll see you next time. Later.